This is not a ride sharing video. I repeat, this is not a ride sharing video. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, back from vacation. Appreciate you folks beginning to filter in. As you see, the title to this video, the live stream, the purpose of this, the plot of this conversation is gonna be, will America behave tomorrow? Will tomorrow be eventful at all? Perhaps uneventful? Perhaps just another day in history? Nevertheless, President Trump has proclaimed himself that he will be arrested tomorrow. There are many folks who believe that's not necessarily true, that he's trying to jump the gun, trying to get ahead of the story. Nevertheless, he did say that, and he did call for protests. So it is indeed possible that the president will not be arrested and protests could happen anyway. So we're going to be asking the question, will America behave tomorrow? And after viewing what took place on January 6th, whether it is a violent insurrection or a peaceful protest, is it irresponsible of the president to call for a second protest? That is what we're discussing today. By the way, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. What do we say on every program? We do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. This program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Your First Amendment free speech rights are always protected here, regardless if you agree or disagree with the host. Doesn't mean a damn thing here. So let's go to the comments. Trump 2024, I see that, followed by Trump for prison. At the end of the day, I don't believe, your humble correspondent, I personally do not believe you will see President Trump serve a day of incarceration from this. Make no mistake about it, many folks, even on the left, are coming out and flat out admitting the whole sole purpose of this is to prevent Trump from being commander-in-chief ever again. I don't think they're really trying to get him locked up. I don't think they really have a chance at success of doing that. But let me know in the comments what you think. To speed the program up, as always, I'm going to go straight to the box. Once again, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. Let's get it moving. We'll start it out right off the bat with Greg's House. Welcome to the program. Hey, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon. We're doing so well with the indictments.
And I saw your video, by the way. I did comment on it. You did a really good impression on that. But I want to ask you, do you think tomorrow, with Trump calling for protests, do you think this country is going to behave?
I mean, I hope they behave, because the city of New York doesn't mess around when it comes to, they can shut down that city pretty quickly when it comes to, any type of unrest. It certainly wouldn't help hit the arguments of him being, like, oh, I didn't bring people here on J6, all that good stuff. If all of a sudden a bunch of people start coming there then to protest again, I don't think that would be very helpful for his case. But
yeah, but on January 6th, he called for a peaceful protest, according to many folks that support him and him himself. What if the protest he's calling for in New York, he also says he wanted done peacefully? Would it be his fault if they came there and did otherwise?
Well, I haven't heard him say peaceful yet, so
True.
maybe that's what I'm missing. I haven't. Yeah, I mean, all I've seen is protest, and you can take that however you want to take it. If it turns to be something that isn't peaceful, he will certainly get blamed for, stirring up the pot, if that makes sense. Again, just because that's what he got blamed for on J6 as well. I mean, and he sent out like 50 Truth Socials.
What about you? Do you think he's responsible for what took place on January 6th?
I mean, I do. I always have. And it's pretty simple because, leading up to that moment, he he was constantly tweeting about it. I mean, it was all
Yeah.
every day. There's so much fraud. There's this, there's that. And it was like he just kept gaslighting for 2.5 months. What was ultimately which was a bubble that burst, and unfortunately for our country, it was not a great day. Someone lost their life that didn't have to
Yeah.
lose her life. I feel that she was radicalized and those folks were radicalized as well. And it's very sad. It is very sad. And I hope that maybe tomorrow for some people, um, they'll come to understand the seriousness of a lot of things, because this to me is the beginning. Georgia is going to be next. I personally think that in New York, Tim, that they're going to have more charges. I actually think there's a lot of people are forgetting that the Southern District of New York got information from the the Mueller probe.
Right.
Hold on,
Right.
my phone rang for a second. Yeah, so basically what I'm getting at here is that I think that they might have other charges compiled as well, maybe tax evasion, something like that.
Mm.
I'm not sure though. I don't want to spread
All
this
state charges.
information,
All
but
state.
I'm
You're
just
talking about all
saying
state
that
charges. All state charges.
yes, yes, state charges. Maybe they have something else on him. Maybe that money was funneled somehow. So there's all kinds of things that they could have. People are saying, well, they wouldn't bring charges if it wasn't that winnable of a case. And I've heard that, but I've also heard that if you're an attorney, they say, well, you can indict a ham sandwich. So I don't really
True.
know, in
So, well,
this
let me
case,
ask you this.
what's true.
Let me ask you this. At the end of the day, do you think any of this stuff will stop him from being commander in chief, or even stop him from running?
I mean, I just think it's too early to tell. I mean, we really don't know the charges that are going to come out of Georgia. We do not know if the DOJ is going to charge him. If
Yeah.
he takes a plea deal from that, and it's like you don't go to jail, but you can't run for president again. Um,
But do
I
you
mean,
think
I
he
would take
would?
that, but I
Yeah,
mean,
but yeah, you and I would take that plea deal all day long. But do you think President Trump would ever take a plea deal with the amount of support that he still has? Do you think he's going to face any real incarceration from these charges?
I've said I don't think he's going to go to jail.
Yeah.
I've
He's
said
not.
that. It's hard to say that you're going to be able to get him to go to jail. Um,
Right.
but again, if the party decides that this is still the person that they want to put on the ticket, I think that's a mistake for them. I just think you're
Yeah.
you're taking a huge risk. You've got a large base of support for him, but the rest of the country is not going to, nothing has really changed from 2020 in terms of Donald Trump and his favorability. It's not like he's getting better. It's not like it's going up in any
Do
way.
you think he has maintained his support, lost supporters, or gained them?
I'd say he's pretty much stayed the same. I don't think he's gained support. I think he's
That's
still
not
got his
bad
pull of
though.
support.
Yeah, but let's take
It's
what you're
not
saying.
bad,
If
but
you
that's the
believe
way it
he,
is.
yeah, but let's go with what you're saying. If you believe Trump has maintained his supporters, we immediately have to look at President Biden and ask, did he maintain or gain? Because if Biden lost supporters and Trump has gained them, then that would mean Trump will win in the Trump versus Biden rematch, right?
I mean, yes, if the
Yeah.
numbers from 2020 are the same, um, or unless the numbers from 2020 are the same. I don't know. I mean, I would say there's an argument to make that he's lost some support as well, but his base is just very strong. I
That
guess
is true.
that's my point. His base of support is rock solid, man. I mean, I've never seen somebody in my life that has gone through all the things that he's gone through and still kind of come out, you know, on top. It's kind of wild. And I see a lot of comments that say, "Oh, he's been investigated for 7 years." Let's be very clear here, and I want to make this point because I think it's important. He was shielded by executive privilege by five of those 7 years. So he's been under investigation for about 2 years. That's really what he's been. He's had the full scope of information available. He wasn't able to hide things. He wasn't able to tell people not to testify. So that's the thing that I just want to make. But you looked like you wanted to ask me something.
No, that was kind of where I was going, but I do got to move it on, Greg. I appreciate you coming in here as always, man.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Absolutely. And look in my last caller just stated, I've seen folks in the comments that may have agreed or disagreed, but your humble correspondent, I totally agree that as a defendant or even a person of interest in any type of criminal activity, it's going to be a difference when they're pursuing you while you are president versus while you are not. So when he says he's had, executive privilege, that is true. That is absolutely true. It's a hell of a difference having Bill Barr as your attorney general than having a liberal in there. So he certainly is getting investigated from a different standpoint now. You think if President Trump, or better yet, the Republicans were in control of Congress on January 6th, that impeachment would have happened at all? No. The entire January 6th hearings would not have happened if there was a Republican Congress. Now, we can argue whether the January 6th hearings were fair or biased or not. It's a legitimate point to make, but they should have at least happened. We should at least figure out what the hell went on that day. And if you had a Republican Congress, they would have simply wrapped it up, blamed it on the protesters, and said, let's move on. In fact, many folks are still suggesting that. Going back to the comments and then the box, Trump 2024, I see it all throughout the comments. Trump should be arrested, says Rest of Liberty. Well, in regards to the arrest, what do you guys think if they decide to indict him in New York? You think they should actually put the man in handcuffs, even if just for a photo op? He will be mugshotted. He will be fingerprinted. How many of you folks out there, the ones who are Trump detractors, my audience is primarily MAGA. I'm MAGA friendly as always, but there are liberals in my audience. For my liberals, for my left-leaners, for my never-Trumpers, detractors, traditional Republicans, folks who do not want Trump reelected, by way of yes or no, how many of you folks would be brave enough to put Trump's mugshot on a t-shirt? Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving with, what does that says? Ricardo, big time. Okay, fair enough. Just shows you the facts don't matter which people are in the seat. Sad. Stevie D, 100% agree with that. That is absolutely true. Ricardo, good afternoon.
Hey, thanks for letting me in. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh, appreciate it. It's an honor to have you on. So what do you think? You think we're going to behave tomorrow in this country?
Oh, yeah, I think we are, unless Ray Epps shows up and starts pumping people up. If you see Ray, which kind of wants to bring me to a point. If I'm Donald Trump, right, I'm a Trump supporter, I'm MAGA, but I don't do this. Just because now the left is going to do things to incite violence there and make it look like it's the right. If anything, I say that throughout the summer of 2020, the left gaslit the right into thinking that this is okay to protest like this, that you can burn down cities and you can do all this because there's no repercussions. So they kind of got gaslit, and then you throw the fuel of
let me ask you that. Let me ask you that. If the left gaslit the right into protest, and if you're bringing up Ray Epps, instigating them, I have to ask the question, because I often hear from my beloved MAGA supporters how liberals are sheep, they follow the gravy train. You're making MAGA sound like sheep, that they could easily be convinced by Ray Epps, who they did not even know from Adam. You're talking about the liberal, like
MAGA showed up in Washington D.C. and went in there and got persuaded to go in there, and they're the second of that many group. You can't say that everybody in MAGA is not going to get gaslit. That's absolutely ridiculous.
But here's the point I'm trying to make.
I understand what you're saying.
Flew out. Yeah, if you flew out to Washington D.C. on January 6th to defend the president, to protest in honor of the president, you listen to Giuliani, Bannon, and a host of them speak for an hour and a half or more,
Right.
and they tell you to go to the Capitol building peacefully. The people you came out to see. How the hell can Ray Epps, somebody you do not even know, convince you within a few minutes to completely do otherwise? How does that work?
And that's what I said. And I said, that's because people react on emotion. And usually it's the left that reacts more on emotion. And people got suckered into and or had plans of going in there and causing trouble.
So
With
what
that
are the
said,
chances? So what are the chances of what you're saying is true? What are the chances that Trump called for a protest in New York? Couldn't the same thing happen again?
same thing. I mean, that's my problem. And he doesn't even put out there and make it peaceful. It didn't work last time, but you just don't do this because of all the problems it's caused as far as doing it before. Now let's talk about the effect. Now I think that even though it's a bad call, if they do arrest him, it's going to upset a lot of people in the middle. And really, that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about the election coming up, you have people on the right, the MAGA people. You have the rhinos, who I'm not sure where they are. Then you have the left. But the people in the middle are the ones that count. And the people in the middle see what's going on with our justice system. But here's something for you. Trump had 75 million votes last time. And I think he's going to have more this time. Joe Biden allegedly had 80 million votes. But, there's a large number of people said once they found out about the Biden laptop being real, they wouldn't have voted for Joe. So the question is, well, a lot of people seem to agree that Trump hasn't really lost much of his base. The people that voted for Biden, a lot of those people have dropped off for sure. And so, looking forward, I think that if he's arrested, it helps with his presidency as far as going forward, number 47. But it was a bad call to call for protest in New York.
You do see calling for protest being irresponsible from President Trump.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Irresponsible is a great way to put that because he should have had the.
So let's look at you're suggesting that Biden has lost supporters, but you're admitting what Trump is doing is irresponsible and could potentially lead to more instigated violence. Why is Biden losing supporters because of the things he's doing wrong, but it's not happening to Trump when you're admitting he's being irresponsible?
Well, here's what I think. So right now, if Trump if there's any violence that happens, the left's going to put it on Trump, and there's going to be people in the middle who, much of the reason they're doing this, I don't think Trump's going to get arrested, but it's the theatrics and the fact that 100 people see the story, 20 people see the correction or the apology. You follow me?
Well,
and so right here, it's going to
listen to what you just said. Listen to what you just said. You said you do believe calling for protest is irresponsible. You said you believe he's not going to get arrested, which he called for irresponsible protest by telling people he's going to get arrested. So if none of this happens,
he's going to lose voters because of that. He's
so
going to lose
voters.
I think he's going to lose votes over the calling for the protest, not over the getting arrested. You follow the difference on that? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. At the end of the day, let me ask you this. At the end of the day, he's being arrested because he allegedly used campaign funds to pay off the porn star for his affair. I'm gonna ask you: do you think that actually happened? Do you think he really paid off Stormy Daniels with campaign funds?
Last year on June 6th, the Federal Election Commission threw it out because it was so bogus. So this is coming from look up what the attorney or the prosecuting attorney in this case said before she was elected on Trump. I mean, she literally said, "I'm going to get him any way I can." I mean, it's like he's Al Capone or something, and she's Elliot Ness. So
let's go with that. Let's go with that. In regards to her, I think Letitia or whatever her name is, she did say she was going to go after him as a condition of, if you vote for me.
Yes.
But keep in mind there was a lot of Republican support for Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, and he also stated back in the day that his whole goal was to make Obama a one-term president. So I do agree with you that it's wrong to state ahead of time that you're after somebody, but that happens on both sides, right?
Right, but you're talking about somebody who's in charge of a political party and has to have a strategy for what he said. The other difference is Letitia is a federal prosecutor or a state's attorney, whatever she is, that is beholden to the people, all the people, not just in one party. She came after a person of opposing political beliefs just because of their politics. That's the problem.
Well, I got to move it on, but before I let you go, I just wanted to point out. Yeah, I wanted to point out before I move it on, the judge that threw O.J. Simpson in jail for 9 years did the exact same thing before she got elected as well. She said if she got in, she was going to go after O.J. Simpson. She gave the man 9 years. I got to move it on, though. Appreciate you coming in, Ricardo.
Adios. Thanks, man.
All right. You too. You too. All right. Looking in the comments, Trump was trying to help the American people by paying off Stormy Daniels. How does that help out the American people? And that's what I'm asking. Now, my last caller said he doesn't believe what's coming out of New York, but they are suggesting that he paid off Stormy Daniels with campaign funds, which is a crime. You know, I understand it's a misdemeanor. I understand it's from 7 years ago or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, a crime is a crime. There are people who actually, I'm going to say occasionally, rarely to be correct, but there are people who have been arrested for jaywalking. Police tell you don't cross in the middle of the street and you do it anyway, you can be arrested for it. It's a bullshit arrest, but people do get arrested for bullshit crimes. If Trump committed a crime and he gets arrested for it, technically it would probably be considered as a petty ass arrest. Make the guy pay a fine. He paid off Stormy Daniels $130,000 or something. Make him pay 10 times that in a fine. Now, many folks would suggest that, but people do get arrested in this country for petty reasons all day, every day. Moving on in the box, we'll keep it going with a stitch of the truth. Welcome back to Stitch. I believe we've talked before. At the end of the day, the question is, will America behave tomorrow? Good afternoon, Stitch.
Hey man, how you doing? So
I'm doing good.
So this is what I think. I don't
hang on
think.
a second. By the way, hold on a second. Stitch, tap the screen, folks. Get your boy up to 15,000. It's at least 1,000 of us in here. Show your boy some love. Helps out the algorithms. Brings me more MAGA. The program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Go ahead, Stitch.
So this is what I think is going to happen. I don't think anything is going to happen tomorrow, to be honest, because, and look, because of the events of January 6th.
Why would he say it? If nothing's going to happen, why would he say that?
Because, again, this ought to be proof as far as the whole January 6th thing. Because to me, if you know that the same thing can happen again, and you get this, the rally to base, and this is proof right here that he had something to do with January 6th, then he's going to try to use the same play in the playbook once again. It's that same thing. Now, here's the difference is because they know all the hell that the MAGA supporters got from January 6th, they'll be foolish to do it again. It'd just be stupid because at the end of the day, and this is what I have to disagree with your prior guest that was on there, which I think is absolutely foolish. In political season, a week is a long time. Now, look how long we have until the election. We have a very long time. If you think that by him getting arrested is going to win his way into the presidency once again, there's a lot of naive people out there. And let's just face it, it's a lot of stupidity
Wait a minute. Let me interrupt. Even though I lean left, I will admit, based on my observation, if you believe it is a witch hunt, if you believe they are targeting this man wrongfully, it does gather him sympathy from his base. So when you say being arrested is going to win him in office, it does gain him supporters with some people.
No, I don't think so. I think you have Trump supporters who are going to follow Trump no matter what. You got people who hate Trump no matter what happens. Now, what's going to happen is this. The people in the middle, as he stated. As far as someone leaving Biden to join Trump, because he's simply getting arrested, no, it's not going to happen. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah,
people are going to
I
vote
agree with
with
that.
their pocketbook. People are going to vote on their checking accounts. People are going to vote by how much stock they have or not have at the end of the day. That's going to come down to, I'm not going to vote for a
Yeah, but
man
if
because he's
people
going to
would,
jail.
yeah, but based on what you're saying, people vote with their pocketbook, people vote with their stocks, they vote from their checking account. If people vote based on that, wouldn't they more likely vote for Trump? Many folks believe the economy was better under him.
And here, this is when I'll say American gets, and look, I hate to say this, but Americans get really, really stupid. And here's the reason why. Because I treat the presidency as a relay race. Sometimes when you enter in the office, the economy is good. Sometimes when you
Right.
get in office, sometimes it's bad, depending on what the previous administration did. And so I've talked about this plenty of times, is that whenever Trump entered in the presidency, I will give him credit, is that he did not drop the baton by which Obama handed him. He did not do anything special. He didn't do anything to have the economy to roll. The economy was already great. If people must realize is that when Obama entered in the office, we were at 10.5% unemployment. By the time he left, we were at 4.7%. Now, what Trump did is not drop the baton. Now, the one mistake that he did do that a lot of people are going to see next year is that with that tax cut, the tax cut that he had goes away for the middle class. That whenever you file your taxes next year, you're going to wonder why you're not getting this tax rebate. Well, because it expired for the middle class. That's something Trump did. A lot of people need to start reading as far as, instead of just going off these TV talking points.
Yeah, but I always say, and I do agree with you that what the last president did can affect you, such as the Iraq War on the Obama presidency. But I will say, I often state that when you're the coach of a team, whatever happens under your watch, you get responsibility for it. If you win a Super Bowl because the previous coach drafted the right players, who is going to get that ring? You or the previous coach? You're going to get it. So I do agree that the last administration can either make you or break you. But when you're in office, whatever happens, you get credit for it, you get criticism for it. And based on that mantra, you got to give Trump criticism for the economy that took place under him.
I was just about to say that. If we're going to get Trump credit, then give him credit for everything. Because to me, because at the end of the day, look what happened. And here's the thing, right? This is where I'm gonna tell you when Americans choose stupidity. And I'm just gonna be honest. So switching from the economic role, let's look at this whole Ukraine mess, right? So you notice a lot of people say, well, if we were under Trump, we wouldn't have had any wars. Now, think about this for a moment. That means that Abraham Lincoln, according to that definition, was not a good president. The Civil War happened up under Abraham Lincoln. According to that definition, that means FDR, our greatest wartime president ever, was a bad president because World War II happened up under him. You see what I'm saying? Look at the stupidity and some of the people and their mindsets. To me, I look at a president as how he can steer us through obstacles. How does he lead through obstacles? Man, I'm telling you, man, it's the damnedest thing because people are choosing to be stupid. Stupidity is a choice, and that's what's going on.
All right, fair enough. So, but at the end of the day, you don't think we're going to have any issues tomorrow, though? You think the country will behave?
You know what? I think if people act up tomorrow, again, these people are choosing to be stupid. You're messing up for your own selves if you want Trump to be reelected. That's what I would say.
Yeah. If something, let's say Trump announces once again that he wants you to protest peacefully and it turns to be violent, do you blame Trump for it?
Yes, and you want to know why? This is what I'm going to say. Because in chess, the pawns go first. So if you look at January 6th, what was Giuliani? A pawn. Because what did he say? Let's have trial by combat. Let's look at all the other pawns that are out there saying, hey, let's do this and do that. Trump is smart enough to know he better not say it, but he's going to get his henchmen to do it. And people stupidly follow along, and then they say, well, it didn't come from Trump. Well, who would? If I want something to get done, you think I'm gonna say it myself? No, I'm gonna use my henchmen. But hey, people want to keep on being dumb as usual and can't read in between the lines and don't use the intelligence that God gave them, so they choose stupidity.
Well, we'll see what choices they make on November 2024. I got to move it on. No Stitch. Good talking to you again. You're always welcome back.
Okay, dude, take care.
Absolutely. Way in regards to what my last caller suggested, that Rudolph Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Steve Bannon, and those who gave the speech on January 6th were pawns. I disagree. I would say they were Ray Epps. If you look at Ray Epps and you want to blame Ray Epps for instigating a violent riot because he said, let's go into the Capitol building or whatever the hell he allegedly said, then you would put Giuliani, Steve Bannon, and even Donald Trump Jr. in that same crowd, because they did not say go peacefully. Trial by combat, take back your country, those are not peaceful words. So if you want to point out what Ray Epps said before this insurrection or protest or whatever you want to call it happened, then you have to point out the words of Rudolph Giuliani and some of the opening acts that preceded Trump speaking. Going back to the box, it is Harry Debates. Let's keep it moving. Appreciate you folks coming in. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 25. This program is, and always will remain, MAGA friendly. I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. The fact you may disagree with the host never means a damn thing. Harry, good afternoon.
Nice to talk to you again. How you doing?
Absolutely a pleasure.
Did you go to the Maple
Are we going to behave tomorrow? That's what I'm asking. Is this country going to behave tomorrow if President Trump is arrested?
But I'll answer your question, but you got to tell me, did you go to the Maple Leaf in NOLA?
Wait, repeat that.
Did you end up going to the Maple Leaf in New Orleans when you were down there?
No, I didn't. I had such a busy schedule. I didn't get around to that, man. I did not get to do that.
You messed up. You messed up. Sorry.
My ex-wife said the same thing in court. But what did I miss?
Yeah, you missed a great brass band. Come on, that's like one of the best things about New Orleans is the music, and that's the music of the city is the brass bands. Come on.
My loss. Yeah, my loss.
Truly.
But what about tomorrow? Let's get to the topic. So, what do you think? You think that you think this country's going to behave, man?
Do I think the country's going to behave? Probably not. If you want to talk about an all or nothing thing, like, right. Do I think that we're gonna have MAGA supporters like flooding the streets and it's gonna look like a right wing summer 2020? Hell no, absolutely not. Sorry.
I like that. Well, let me ask you this though, because I had an impromptu live on Saturday. I don't normally do weekends, but I had some callers, some detractors of Trump, some liberals and never Trumpers suggest that they're going to go out in the streets and party if he's arrested. So I have to ask, if you have peaceful MAGA protesters that come in to support President Trump, and they bump into liberals that are celebrating, you think they would stand side by side peacefully?
Well, I live in New York City, and just this weekend, we had some Proud Boys bump into some other people, and the Proud Boys got bumped. So,
bumped how?
Like,
bumped how?
Like they were assaulted. They were walking away bleeding.
Really? Wow. The Proud Boys got punked out, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's New York City. They, maybe in a different place there might be some different outcomes, but I'd say, the vast majority of partying you're going to see are in liberal big cities, and if these people are coming looking for trouble, they're going to find what they're looking for.
So
they're going to be outnumbered.
Let's go. But let's go with what you're talking about. That is small sects of civil unrest at that point, isn't it?
Sure.
So that's not behaving. That is not behaving.
Yeah, you're going to probably have some isolated incidents, but in the vast majority of it, it's going to probably just be people celebrating and having a good time.
So at the end of the day, do you think do you think any real consequences for President Trump is going to come out of this?
Yes, I do.
Like, elaborate.
Well, first off, this is the first of many indictments that are coming down the pipeline. And, the fact that they took so long, I think that people on the right will justify that as they had no case and they're just, trying to do whatever they can with whatever time they can. Like, no, that's not how big cases work. They always wait until the
But wait
last
a
moment
minute
to.
though. But we're talking 7 years since he allegedly committed the crime. We're talking about a new administration out there in New York where the old administration decided not to charge him. You got to admit something does look a bit suspicious with that, right?
Well, if it's an airtight case, the only one who's suspicious is Trump.
No, if it's an airtight case, why did not the last prosecutorial administration out in New York charge him? If you got an airtight case, why did the people before you not do what you're doing?
Because the statute of limitations wasn't coming up and they wanted all the time that they had to work on the case. They're dropping.
You got an airtight case, of course. If you got an airtight case, you need 7 years to figure this out when you got Michael Cohen probably at least 2-3 years ago willing to testify.
The wheels of justice usually turn pretty slow. It's an unfortunate fact about. Slow. Yeah, it is very slow.
That's very slow. Well, you do have to understand at the end of the day, they're going to use the fact that it took 7 years to charge him to point out that this is a petty arrest with the ultimate goal of just banning him from becoming president.
Well, what happens when you break the law?
You get charged before 7 years.
Not all the times. The statute of limitations on some crimes are very long.
Yeah, but we're talking, if they wait 7 years to charge you, and they still come after you after 7 years, it's usually for something serious. You assaulted somebody, you abused somebody, you murdered somebody.
Is campaign finance, is embezzling campaign funds not very serious?
7 years?
Is what he did in Georgia not very, very serious? Is tax fraud, misrepresenting the value of your property, a very serious crime, especially when you're talking about in the sums of money that he owns in property? Those are very serious crimes. And he is going to not just, and you, of course, you are going to use as much time as you can because this is a man with an incredible amount of influence and power. He is going to have. There you go.
Bingo. That's right? What I was trying to get out of you is that the reason they took so long is because he had executive privilege and, like you said, a lot of power. That's what I was kind of leaning toward. But okay, all right, I give you that.
I mean, if it were more liberal while he was in office, like if he was fighting a Democratic Congress and a bunch of Democratic judges, sure, maybe they would have came a little more sooner. But,
right.
Now the way that the cards have played out, of course, this is the best strategy.
Jail time. Do you think he'll get any jail time? I don't.
I don't know. Maybe not for this, but for the next 2 indictments, I think it would be hard pressed to not give him jail time. Maybe he's going to club jail like they put Epstein in for a little while. But
Harry, the guy is almost 80 years old. You really think they're going to throw an 80-year-old former president in jail?
I think that, yeah, if he went out and shot somebody on Fifth Avenue, does he get special treatment because he used to be the president? No.
All right, you win.
They would lock him up if he went out and shot someone on Fifth Avenue. You better believe.
I won't argue with that. I got to move it on, though, man. Good point. Come on back through. All right, looking in the comments here. I don't believe he will do time. I just do not. But I could be wrong. That's the whole purpose of the program, is I never want to present myself as a know-it-all, because I don't. I don't. Just like a lot of us, we get to speculate, we get to have our personal analysis. That's why I always value your opinion, even if it's completely different than my own, and I never ban anyone for what the hell they have to say. By the way, tap the screen. Should be around 30,000 by now. This is and always will remain a MAGA friendly program. I don't block, ban, or censor you. We will continue on. If an 80-year-old did this to his mama, I wonder what would he say? User, well, if somebody does something to you personally, you're always going to want them to be punished for it. But that's why we have judges, and I can't see, just from the logistics of it alone, locking up an 80-year-old guy that's entitled to Secret Service protection for the rest of his life. If they really wanted to incarcerate him to some degree, worst case scenario, he'd be put on house arrest or something like that. But putting him actually in a penal institution, there is zero chance of that going. I would be willing to bet 20-1 odds. Appreciate those lightning hands. Who just sent that? I didn't get to see the name, but I do appreciate that. Let me keep it moving. He's not going to get time. Look, it says my eye. He will not get any time for this. I just believe strongly the entire purpose of this is to prevent him from being president. If he gets out of the way, nobody gives a damn about $130,000 in campaign funds. But keep in mind, the money he pays Stormy Daniels came from his supporters. You think his supporters, the ones that gave him that money that he misappropriated, would want him to go to jail for doing so? Most of them would say, no, forget it. We're good with that. If he helps the economy out, he helps out the country, I'm willing to eat whatever he did with $130,000 damn dollars. The fact that he did not take a salary as president for 4 years would be enough for them. Let me keep it moving, though. We'll make it happen with Jamie Fitzbang Gang. That is a long name. Let's see how MAGA up his black. Wait, hold on a second. Let's see how MAGA dress up as Black Lives Matter to burn cities down. I don't quite get that. I guess you're saying how many, but cue me in. Jamie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's our first time talking?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good to have you on. So I want to ask you, do you think this country is going to behave if they show up to protest as Trump suggested tomorrow?
I believe that people will. I listen, I am a MAGA supporter. I am a Trump supporter. When I voted for Trump back in 2016, it wasn't because I liked him. I liked his policies. His policies is what made me vote for him twice. Okay. Now, this is the thing, is sometimes he says the dumbest shit, like literally. It doesn't make sense. Yes. But in the same sense, my personal opinion, after I watch January 6th unfold live on TV. I watched Facebook lives of people that were actually there that I personally know. It was a setup from the jump start. It was a straight
Let me ask you something in regards to that. Any idea why so many Republicans, because keep in mind you had the vice president, you had all the Republican senators and all of the Republican congressmen that were there. Any idea why none of them were suggesting it's a setup?
There are some that have suggested it was a setup, but they're the ones that aren't taken seriously. They're not another one.
Yeah, but you would have to admit the overwhelming majority of them are not saying that.
Yeah, but you got to understand, a lot of them have their hand in the same pot that the bad leftists do. You see what I'm saying?
That many of them?
Listen, there's a lot of them. There's one main key player to this whole situation that he's controlling everything from the government to the media to social media to pharmaceuticals to you name it.
One guy. Who is that?
I don't want to say his name because I don't want to
It
get
doesn't
banned.
begin with an S, does it begin with an S?
What, his last name?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the second letter O?
Yes. Yes.
What are you basing this on? I'm curious.
His own mouth. He said it at the World Economic Forum himself. He said it himself over in Davos. He said it himself. I have the video saved on my phone. He said it himself.
Is it possible? Is it possible this leftist, globalist, liberal might be lying?
No. He has.
You believe? So you believe what Soros says? You do. You're a true blue believer of George Soros.
Yes.
So what if he says? What if he says climate change is something that's real and needs to be addressed? Would you believe him?
Hell no. That's a crock of crap.
So what's making you pick and choose what to believe and what not to believe?
Because he has his own agenda. He has an agenda. Like he said that DeSantis will be a fine president. And then now you have all these Republicans saying, "Oh, well, DeSantis is backed and paid by Soros." You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you that. Let me ask you that. You pointed out that Trump says things you don't like. By the way, folks, tap the screen. 35,000 likes. Make that happen for your boy. Let me ask you this. So you said Trump would give you the policies even though you didn't like some of the things he said. Many would argue Ron DeSantis would give you the same policies with less of the rhetoric. Would you support Ron DeSantis?
I would, but it's not his time yet.
How do you know when it's his time?
Well, first of all, DeSantis is young, and what he's doing for Florida, he's doing the right things for Florida. Okay, so I mean, he was one of I think it was the only state that during the pandemic, yes, at first he closed it down, but then he, started lifting everything and kept the economy rolling in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that DeSantis would have, in like the supporters in Florida would have tried to do the same thing that Texans, not Abbott, but the Texans were trying to separate themselves from the United States. I'm surprised DeSantis didn't try to do that for Florida. You know what I mean? But
So which candidate do you believe would be better at unifying the Republican Party, Trump or DeSantis?
Well, right now at this point, listen, my personal opinion is I want Trump back in office. He should be in office. He should have been in office right now. That's my personal opinion. I don't care who doesn't like it. But if it comes down to it, then, and I don't know, there's so many people that, yes, there's more people that have started to like Trump, but there's a lot of people that used to like Trump that no longer likes Trump. So it's kind of hard because when it comes to the
let me rephrase it. Among, let's say, Republican senators, Republican Congress, Republican governors and politicians, which one has more unified support, Trump or DeSantis?
I would say at this point, DeSantis.
So why would you want DeSantis if he can bring the whole party together and fight the liberals as one?
Because, like I said, he's young. It's not his time yet.
That's it?
But
so you're gonna pick a dude that's almost 80 because the guy who's in his 40s is too young?
But you figure Trump can only run one more term. That's it, and then he's done. DeSantis,
but he's almost 80.
DeSantis, but look at Biden. Look at his age.
And look what you say about Biden. He don't know where he's at. He can't string together two sentences. Look what they say about Biden. They said it about Bernie. They said it about McCain. They said it about Reagan. You got a young guy that's barely even 50 yet that is, according to you, going to give you the policies you want. Why wouldn't you go with that?
I mean, I'm saying it all depends on what is what's leading up to tomorrow. What happens, obviously, if he's, indicted and arrested and found guilty, then obviously he can't run for president. But a lot of that I think is unnecessary and caca, in my personal opinion, because why'd they wait so long?
But because I truly believe what me and the last caller discussed. One reason they waited a long time because they knew they were in a better position of power to arrest him when he was outside of the presidency. But let me ask you this: would you vote for a felon? Let's say he did get convicted, was found to be, you know, criminally responsible for whatever the hell they're charging him in Georgia and New York, the Merrick Garland case. Let's say one of these cases hit and he was deemed as a felon, but still could run for president. Would you vote for a felon?
Yep.
Okay. All
Sure
right,
would.
fair enough. Even though you believe Ron DeSantis could unify the party, does not have the felony, has more Republican support, you still go over to Trump.
Well, because listen, this is the thing: is DeSantis was asked during his candidacy, to get reelected for governor. He was asked if he would consider, running for the presidency, and he said no. He has work to do in Florida, so
True.
he, if he sits there and he got all those people to back him up and support him to vote for him again for all the good work he's done in Florida, then to turn around and basically boot his governorship to become the president, that's kind of messed up because, like I said, a lot of people voted for him because he said he wasn't gonna, run for presidency. So
Yeah.
that's my thing. And two, I mean, DeSantis is like my age. I'm 44. I'll be 45 this year, but he's my age, and like I said, he's young. Yes, with him being, do we need young, young people, a younger person in office? Absolutely, because I'm sorry, well, I'm Italian, but I'm Caucasian, I'm white. It's like it's the same thing. It's, it's always a white man, but my thing is,
Well, we're gonna get. Let me give you this. I gotta move it on, but I want to give you this last question. Putting DeSantis next to Trump, with the exception of the age, give me other reasons other than his age why you would pick Trump over DeSantis. What is it about DeSantis other than his age that would make you go to Trump?
because of what, listen, okay, can I just I'm gonna try to break this
The
down.
floor is yours.
I'm
The
trying to
floor is yours.
break this down as fast as I can. Okay,
Sure.
this is my thing. I have cancer in 6 different places in my body. I had it in 7, but I had to get my thyroid removed because I couldn't breathe and I was choking on food. So that had to go. I don't, go into everything the doctors tell you to do because I watch people get surgeries, chemo, radiation, and they died anyways. You know what I mean? So I decided not to go
Yeah.
that route. So I'm doing natural things to try to, eliminate, make something
Understood.
small. So put it to you this way: when the pandemic happened, I was a nurse. I am a veteran. I was in the United States Army. Then I came out as a civilian. I became a nurse, and I worked as a nurse, and a registered nurse, for 23 years. And when the pandemic happened, because yeah, you got to figure I don't have a thyroid, so I don't have an immune system.
Okay.
So before I didn't want to continue into nursing with that situation because it was basically new, didn't know what was going on.
Okay, I gotta move you along. Trump against Sanders, though. I'm trying to figure out. I get your condition,
Okay,
which sounds awful, but Trump against Sanders. What's making you pick Trump?
because when Trump was in office, the way this country was moving smoothly during, my husband was the only one working in the household, the only one working, and he could literally pay all of the bills, and we would still have, and he makes really good money, and we still have plenty of money where we could go do things, we could buy whatever we wanted to, we could do whatever,
What industry? I'm curious. I have to. What industry is your husband in?
My husband is a driver.
Truck driver?
Yep.
Has that really fallen off because of Biden, though?
Yes.
COVID did that. I'm asking that because I was an over-the-road driver and I got out of the business in 2020 because of COVID. So a lot of that, I don't know if Biden, because you had companies closing down, you had all types of COVID restrictions. Now, I lost a hell of a lot of money as of 2020 when everything started shutting down because nobody was shipping freight. I don't know if that is Biden's fault. I
That's
really
because
don't.
The company that he works for, he was able to use a smaller truck, and he still delivered to hospitals. He still delivered to doctors' offices. He still delivered to places that were open. So he worked during the whole entire pandemic. He may have gotten home earlier than what normal, but I'm saying, he still worked during the pandemic. So he was able to work and pay all the bills. And then once Biden got into office, I watched my husband that I've been with for 26 years cry because we were struggling.
Mm. Wow. All right, Jamie. I appreciate you coming in for the first time. Don't be a stranger. Come on back through anytime.
Let me just say though.
Sure.
I am working because I didn't want to let him struggle. So I am working, even though I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
But the thing is I don't even know why I'm crying. Well, I'm going through other things too. But anyways, I watched him struggle, and it wasn't like that when the other policies were in place, and and it's not just the gas and all this, it's everything went up, everything, you know what I mean? So, but
you're not the only one. Listen, you're not the only one bringing up the economy under Biden. Even I did it a lot earlier in the year, but I got to wish you Godspeed on your healing. Hopefully, I understand cancer. I lost my mom to cancer this time last year, so Godspeed on that. But I do have to move it on anytime. Come on back through.
all right, thank you, have a good day.
Yeah, God bless you too. All right, comments, and the economy is what it is, folks. There are people even on the left side of the aisle that believes the economy under Biden is not that great. I strongly believe, and I've said this on numerous broadcasts, that the entire gift to the Biden administration is that the Republicans keep sending Trump back to the top of the ticket. I think a Nikki Haley or some of these other more moderate Republicans would be far more competitive, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of lackluster support for Trump, or better yet, Biden, a lot of lackluster support for the Republican candidate in the election in general. In fact, minorities don't normally even show up to vote. But when you put Trump at the top of the Republican ticket, it energizes a hell of a lot of people that normally wouldn't vote. A lot of young people, minorities, women, all these people are coming out to throw daggers into Trump. They don't want him in there. So I do believe that the biggest gift to President Biden is Trump coming back, just like Hillary Clinton was the biggest gift to Trump. Going back to the comments, and I'll go back to the box in a minute. Nikki is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Holy shit, come on now. What kind of bird can't fly? Chickens, ostrich, peacocks. Peacocks can fly. I don't know. Biden got more votes. Johnster. That is what the records will show throughout history, is that Biden defeated Trump by what? 10 million or something like that. That will show. The Republicans are systematically destroying women's reproductive rights. Somi, I can't pronounce the name, but Sony Horder or something like that. As a liberal, I totally agree. As a liberal, I do believe that the entire goal of Republicans is to protect the sanctity of life, to protect the life of the unborn. And their goal is to do that nationwide. Now, I get a lot of my supporters, my beloved MAGA, will have you believe it's just a ploy to return to states' rights. Nevertheless, when you look at the heads of the party, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Mike Pence, I've played videos of them coming out and saying the quiet part out loud. Mike Pence has made it clear he wants to do it nationwide. Lindsey Graham said it could happen, and so did Mitch McConnell. So it's not that they're not trying to do it federally. They're just only able to do it from the states' rights aspect right now. You think if they got a supermajority in the Senate and had control of Congress, they wouldn't do this? If you believe that, you're being disingenuous. Going back to the box, and I see in the comments, Randall says, I'm for saving life. Exactly. If you have abortion bans in your state and you believe it's saving the lives of the unborn, and you find a way that you can do it so that they can't cross and go into another state and kill that kid over there, you would do that too. You don't change your mindset on saving the life of an unborn just because a woman can cross a river or go down the street to another state and do it. You want it to stop in that state as well. And you would do what you could. All right, let me go in the box. We'll keep it moving with My Name is Kitten. Welcome back to the program. Will Erica behave tomorrow? Tap the screen. 45,000 likes. Make that happen. The program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Don't ban, block, or censor. Whatever the hell you got to say. Don't worry about that. Kitten, good afternoon.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I hope I feel the same way tomorrow. Do you think this country is going to behave?
I agree with your former caller. You'll probably have small incidents here and there. But I don't think anything major like January 6th is going to happen at all. If anything, you may not.
Yeah, but what you say small incidents? What about going and taking out a few liberals in Walmart? Is that a small incident?
In this country, sure. Depending on how many, yeah.
That's terrible.
I mean, that's the truth.
We got to the point where that's a small incident now.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, you have massive unalivings of kids in schools every day, 20, 30 of them at a time. So, yeah, depending on how many casualties, maybe the incident may not be that big.
Damn, that's awful. True, but awful. The fact is that, like you said, taking out a few people in Walmart has now come to the point where that's considered a small incident. Wow. Jesus. So I've talked to callers who stated that if for some reason Trump is mugshotted and fingerprinted, God forbid, brought out in handcuffs for a few seconds, that they will celebrate. If you got protesters that are there at the same time, you think that one side of the street being Trump supporters and the other side being celebratory folks yelling things at the Trump supporters, you don't see any major melee taking place.
Yeah, but that's not a major thing. I mean, a little fight in New York, that's nothing, man. That's not even going to make the radar on the news, man. That's really nothing.
I don't know about that. I believe that if there is protest in New York, first of all, the cable news outlets.
Well, it's not going to happen in New York. It's not going to happen in New York. Trump supporters will not, because New York hates Trump. Trump is not going to get any support in New York, and Trump supporters will get massacred if they go out on the street and try to do that there.
The guy who just talks like a typical New Yorker, I thought New York was his hometown for a minute.
It is, but they listen. New York knows Trump. They know all his scams, all his bullshit he's been doing since he was working with his daddy. They know him. That's why they don't like him. That's why he's not going to get any support. And I should tell you something: if your own hometown don't support you.
But they sure loved his asses before he became president. We go back to 2014. He's still a senior citizen. That town loved that man.
Well, certain things come out that a lot of people don't know when you run for office, right?
That is true. That is absolutely true. Yeah, when you run, just like him, I tell folks that all the time. They go, well, they never gave Trump a chance from day one, and why did minorities like him before he became president? He wasn't a racist, and I generally bring up Obama became president.
I mean, if you look at the TV back in the 80s, you would think Trump is a legitimate businessman, right? Little do you know, he's making deals with Russia, backdoor deals with Russia. He's hiring cocaine dealers to fly his helicopters at his casinos. He can't run his casinos properly, so they go under. I mean, nobody knew all these things back in the 80s. All this stuff came out within the last few years when he became president.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, do you think any real justice, let's say Trump did some of this stuff, do you really think this man is going to serve time at all?
Well, I mean, you got to take it on a case-by-case basis also. You also need to look at what happened to Michael Cohen, because that's a precedent in this case. All right, you need to look at what the sentence was for Michael Cohen. It's very hard for a judge to have a case about something where someone was already convicted, had a sentence thrown down on him, went to jail for it, and then the next guy who was in charge of the whole thing has nothing done to him. That doesn't look so good as a judge, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and Michael Cohen is one of the main, not defendants, but he's one of the main folks testifying in this case against Trump. He's a convicted liar, though. Are people going to really take the word of Michael Cohen?
Well, in court, I mean, it doesn't matter people. What matters is the court. And in court, you're to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I guarantee you the court's going to listen to every word that Michael Cohen says.
Yeah. So do you believe at the end of the day he's going to serve any time for any of this stuff?
Not for this one, no. And I don't think, I don't think a high-powered regular person or a slightly wealthy person would get into. Michael Cohen's a no one. That's why he went to jail. He's a nobody. If he was a rich and powerful person, he probably wouldn't have went to jail for that instance either, to be honest with you.
Well,
So
I don't
no.
know. I don't know. Martha Stewart went to jail for a year, and that was really a light case they had on her, like
Yeah, I mean,
45
it
grand
depends
or
on who you
something.
are. It depends on who you
How,
are.
how,
And generally, rich people in this country don't go to jail unless you've screwed over somebody even richer and more powerful than you.
that's a fair point. That's a fair. So if he's not going to likely face any jail time, what is the purpose of even doing it?
Well, here's what's supposed to be the purpose behind it. The purpose that's supposed to be behind it is to uphold the law. But,
Right.
America doesn't do such a good job of upholding the law when it comes to rich people. They do a fine job against poor Americans, middle-class Americans. They do a fine job of throwing all of them in jail. But when it comes to the rich, they don't ever see any type of punishment.
So how would you respond to Trump supporters who point out what you just said? He's not likely to go to jail, and folks
Yeah.
who believe the only reason you're doing this to him is to stop him from being president. You know he's not going to serve any time. You're wasting all of this tax money from the state of New York going after a guy that at the end
Yeah.
of the day is not going to do a day in jail just to prevent him from running. How do you respond to that?
Well, I respond to it as a conviction doesn't stop him from running for president. So this doesn't stop him from running. Your whole narrative is out the window. Him getting convicted doesn't stop him from running for president. There is no provision that stops a convicted felon from running for president. So
Yeah,
that's
but
a
it puts it
bullshit
on his.
excuse.
Yeah, I get your point. I get your point that it doesn't stop him from running, but the purpose is to dirty him up. That's what folks are saying.
You want a dirty like that's just silly, man. I can't even answer that question. You want to dirty Trump
You
up?
don't see
That's like calling a pig and shit clean.
All
You want to
right,
dirty
we in on that
Trump
one. I
up?
can't argue. Okay, all right, call it a pig and shit. So essentially, you're saying he's already so dirty you can't dirty him up anymore.
No, I mean, what are you gonna do to make him more dirty? The guy pulled off he tried to pull off a fascist coup. The guy's got he got documents. He conspired with I mean, what are you gonna do to dirty him up anymore? The dude's like completely orange. What the hell are you gonna do? Give him a bath. Get that orange off of him.
All right, I gotta move it on. Kidding, always a good talk.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Absolutely, you too. All right, look, it's so dirty he cannot be dirtied anymore. Wow. Now that's pretty fucking corrupt. I've never heard him referred to as that dirty, but so dirty you can't even. When you say so dirty, it's like trying to put a pig in mud. That's a hell of a metaphor there. Looking in the comments, wow, that was crazy. That's 100% isn't dirtying him up. Democrats look more like fascists. They're Rick, your comment cut off, but I got enough of it. Trump is done, says Chris Hemps. I don't believe Trump is done. There is always a place for President Trump. Even if President Trump does not get reelected, the amount of support that man has is still by far. Jay Bridge, appreciate the lightning. Thank you for your generosity, by the way. I don't get that much, but I appreciate that. There's always room for President Trump in the Republican Party. Certainly when it comes to smaller races, there are places that are really devout MAGA supporters. Let's say Marjorie Taylor Greene's area. Even if he's not president, him coming there, Tim knows, thank you. Even if he doesn't run for president, his endorsement will still have a lot of weight in some areas. He's just not that way all over the country. There are some areas that are anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, and there's other areas that are strongly in the camp for President Trump. And that will continue after he is no longer running for president. That will continue. Judge and jurors are not political cohorts. Shit, that depends on who you ask. That really does. Only for the sheep. Trump trash loves Trump. Megoro, be nice, friend of the program. Where are the prosecutors? There's always an argument and a way around writing that can charge Trump. Make no mistake about it. Lined up 14 guys against a fence, gunned them all down. The St. Valentine's Day massacre. Al Capone is responsible for ordering that. What did he go to jail for? Tax evasion. Not president, but O.J. Simpson. allegedly hacked the heads off of a couple people. What did he go to jail for? Basically some bullshit theft out in the state of Nevada. And by the way, that judge out in Nevada, similar to what folks are saying in New York, that judge announced ahead of time her goal, if she got in, was to go after O.J. Simpson. So there are political cohorts and biased judges everywhere out there. Let's keep it moving, though. Looking in the comments, it is Mayday 7-1. I'm going down. Tap the screen. Get your 8,000 likes. There's still nearly 1,000 of you in here. You could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok. The fact you're rolling with your boys in honor. If you like civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any fear of being banned, censored, or blocked for your opinion, follow the program. This is what we do here, 11:30 a.m. Central. Mayday. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I would just like to suggest something that I've been thinking a lot about, and that is that the driving force behind the arrest of Trump and what I predict to be the ultimate prosecution of Trump is not being driven by Democrats. It's being driven by the Republicans because of a strategy that they see or that would be more powerful to create a martyr in Trump. Because every movement.
So wait a minute. You believe the Republicans are the driving force behind the attempt to arrest or incarcerate President Trump because the Republicans believe by doing that they will give Trump martyrdom?
Yes, they're not driving it, so to speak, but they're like looking in the other direction in order to let it happen. And they're going to allow, because if they wanted to stand in front of it, they could, because Trump appointed all the judges that they need. I mean, it's obvious because they haven't been able to even move an inch with the prosecution on J6.
Yeah, but what about the possibility? What about the possibility that some Trump-appointed judges just do not think the man is innocent? Keep in mind, he dealt with a lot of Trump-appointed judges for proven election fraud, and they didn't rule in his favor. Just same thing with the 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. 3 of those judges are his, and they didn't rule his way on election fraud. So they could be Republican judges, but that don't always mean they like him.
Right, but that's why it's the powers that be that are really making the decisions for these parties, the politics behind it. The powers that be, and it's all big money, of course, because big money now in the late stage of capitalism with wealth disparity to the extent that it is now, with wealth disparity the way it is now, they know that the poor, and the working class are going to eventually they're going to rise up and they're going to overthrow this unjust situation that exists. And so they're predicting that they need a strong man, and they have one in DeSantis. They want to eliminate the division within the Republicans, eliminate
So
the possibility.
you believe
Yeah,
you believe the Republican Party actually wants DeSantis then?
I do. I do. Rupert
So why
Murdoch
would
has
they make
already.
Trump a martyr? But wait a minute, if they want DeSantis, why would they try to give Trump martyrdom, which would actually give him sympathy and more votes?
No, he'll be a martyr if he is prosecuted and he is eliminated from being able to
Oh,
be president. If you're convicted of a
okay.
felony, you cannot be president.
So you basically believe they're trying to go Bin Laden and strap a suicide vest on the man.
Absolutely.
Damn. Wow. Really?
Because
Yeah.
there's
So
nothing more powerful than having a martyr in a movement.
yeah.
And they need it now because they're up against thousands and millions of people that are very, very discontent with the way things are, with medical, not being able to get health care, with not being able to even get a living wage. $15 an hour they can't even get in most places. Women getting their human rights or their bodily autonomy stripped from them. This discontent that is arising, and what they're doing with to gay people as a scapegoating tactic is they know this is going to get tremendous backlash for them, the Republican
So let me
Party.
ask you this then. Let me ask it to you this way. Let's say, for
Go ahead.
shits and giggles, somehow, some way, Trump is reelected and becomes our 47th president. What do you think America would be like under a second Trump presidency?
I think he's a weak leader, myself. I voted for him in 2016. I've been on both sides of this issue. I'm 74, and I just kind of sit back and watch it objectively, all of it. And I did vote for Trump in 2016 because I of my reasons. But
Well,
I found
let me
it.
interrupt you. Let me
As
interrupt you.
his, go ahead.
Now that you voted for Trump in 2016, hindsight, do you think Hillary Clinton would have been a better choice?
I don't know that would remain to be seen whether she could perform as a president.
Okay.
But
All right.
I think a woman in the presidency would be a good idea. Finally, after all these years, but it would have to be an older woman, I feel, because I think as we age, we get more wisdom, and I think older people are more
Like fine
suitable for
wine,
the.
like fine wine. I get it. I get it. So do you think now you're talking martyrdom, which is kind of frightening. So if there is a protest tomorrow, I'm assuming you don't think the country will behave.
Oh, this is going to rile up people in the Republican base like nobody's business if
Mm,
they go after Trump. And that's why they
wow.
haven't been doing it that vigorously, I'm sure, because they don't want to
Yeah.
strengthen that. But there's nothing more powerful than a martyr. I'm not suggesting they want to have him killed or anything. They just want to prosecute him. And
Right.
the evidence is all there. They can do it. That he's been
So
very sloppy.
at the end of the day, do you think this man is going to serve any time? Talking about President Trump, do you think he would do a day in jail, a day incarcerated?
I think that's a possibility. I think it is a possibility. I
Wow.
think, but it's a far-fetched one. But I do think that it's going to be allowed in order to uh, have a solidified. Yeah, if Trump is completely out of he can't run because he has a felony. Uh, DeSantis is going to slide in there. He's the obvious choice of the Republican Party. He's just going to slide in.
But
And, and
what if
uh,
DeSantis, let's say Trump is taken out of the picture, so legally he cannot run, but he still continues to ridicule DeSantis, such as like a rap artist making albums while he's in prison. Do you think that DeSantis, even if Trump was not the competition, but continue to ridicule him, even though Trump can't run, he's still ridiculing him, he's still, going around the country saying bad things about DeSantis. Can DeSantis survive constant ridicule from Trump?
oh, of course he can. It's free advertising. When
Yeah,
he calls him a meatball. So you listen to his speech. Is he a meatball? Is he not a meatball? It's free advertising. That won't hurt him.
that is true. That is true. All right, Mayday, this is our first time talking, I take it, right?
Yes, yes, it is. I,
Absolutely a pleasure. Don't be a stranger. Anytime you see me on, come on through. I'll put you on. I do got to move it on, got to part ways with you, but definitely a pleasure talking to you.
thank you very much. See you soon.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. All right, comments. Eric Mays, 2024. Who? Eric Mays. Whatever. If Trump loses the nomination, he will not support the nominee. Matter of fact, he's going to try and stop down South General. I tend to agree with that if it is Ron DeSantis. Now, if you can have a candidate, let's say Trump cannot run, but there's a candidate out there that readily aligns himself with Trump, a McCarthy, a Ted Cruz. I believe that a candidate like that could get the nomination because even if let's like what my last caller said in regards to martyrdom, I do believe that does resonate with your host a bit. If they make Trump out to be wrongfully convicted, wrongfully arrested through witch hunts and things like that, that will be the avenue to take this down. If you can believe that Trump was wrongfully taken out, but you have Trump saying, in my absence, this is the guy America needs. He has an America First agenda. I believe President Trump could promote virtually anybody to the top of the ticket via his MAGA side of the aisle. But there's obviously going to be a lot of never Trumpers, traditional Republicans, and liberals alike that are going to disagree with it. But MAGA is a very strong entity that is behind President Trump. We'll keep it moving. 55,000 likes are possible if you guys tap the screen. Show your boy some love. Helps out the algorithms, as I always say. This program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Folks always ask, real quick, why the hell do you have a MAGA hat up? You see the program titled The Handsome Liberal. Say it all the time. I strongly believe, even though I lean left, conservatives, Republicans, and particularly MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. So in my tiny corner of social media, I always maintain a solemn promise that as long as I can, I will observe and protect your First Amendment free speech rights on my program. You have a right to speak regardless of who the hell agrees or disagrees with you. The fact that no one agrees with what you're saying does not take away your right to say it. So here you can do that. Let me keep it moving. All right, going to Anthony, 6195. Anthony, and you're awesome for being, what did I say? You're awesome for being that way. Not many people are. Props to you, sir. James, appreciate the accolade. Good afternoon, Anthony. Welcome back to the program.
What's going on, boss? How you doing today?
I don't know, because I'm wondering about tomorrow. Is this nation going to behave tomorrow?
You know, at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to New York to cut up. I really don't think MAGA is going to go to New York City.
Let me interrupt you. I'm hearing a lot of folks say what you just said. Is New York really that bad? You know, folks are like, they ain't going to fuck with New York because New York going to get in that ass. Is New Yorkers really down that hard?
No, New York's not that bad. And if you notice, if you do the map, if you pinpoint his maps, most of his rallies, and I call them rallies, were done outside of city limits.
That's really not what I'm asking. I agree. Wait a minute. You're saying he do them in Republican rural. I get all of that. I agree with that. What I'm saying, though, when I say is New York that bad, I mean to the point where you ain't gonna bring that shit here.
Yeah. Yes. They would get mud holes stomped in them. You would see footage of them jumping their asses back in U-Haul trucks, and yeah, they would leave a lot of MAGA hats in the streets of New York. There'll be a lot of MAGA hats littering the streets of New York.
Wow. Okay. All right, that's what I was trying to find out, because you're not the only caller that keeps saying they ain't gonna bring that shit to New York. That's crazy.
Every time they come this way, we beg them to come to Winston-Salem or Charlotte, or please take that shit to the city. You can do all the protesting you want outside of your house. That's easy to do. But if you really about what you're saying you're about, take that shit to the city and really let your voice be heard.
Shout out to Master P. Bout it. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's crazy. So I guess if they come, but they can't correct it in D.C. They were able to do it. D.C. is a city, and look what they did in D.C.
Their leader was in D.C. They had security in D.C. You also see that in a situation like that, unlike the summer of love that they love to bring up, those people went to jail off the streets. After January 6th, they had to go get those people.
So what if they come to New York, but they protest peacefully? Will the city of New York show them love then? Would the city of New York still beat that ass, or would they treat them right if they protest peacefully?
I mean, it's going to depend on what's peacefully, because, you know, you're only protected, your freedom of speech is only protected by the government. You know what I'm saying? So that means that there are in the streets, There are times that your mouth is gonna write checks your ass can't cash.
Oh my God, New York getting down like that. By the way, Lisa Miller, appreciate the crown and the cute makeup. Thank you there. So at the end of the day, do you think anything's going to happen to President Trump out of this? I mean, is this just a bunch of something over nothing? Is this guy really going, I mean, is he really going to face any justice of any significance?
I agree with the lady that was just on. She had and you could tell that she was a conservative because it was a couple of questions that she wouldn't answer,
You
but
think so?
yes, yes, yes. Um, she told you she voted for Donald Trump, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure she
yeah.
probably did in 2020 also. So
Well, but she
what?
pointed out, yeah, but she pointed out that gays are losing their rights. She pointed out women's reproductive. That doesn't sound very
Yeah,
Republican
and
like.
that's what I was gonna just about to say that. But she also sounds very intuitive. She understands what's going on, and her statement about making him a martyr. This is true, but this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. We've already been here. We've already done this before. And the last time we had an uprising of the Confederacy, because this is what this is. This is a Confederate movement. We gave these people coverage. We gave these people their jobs back. We didn't
Mm.
prosecute these people. And if we don't want this to occur again, we have to make sure that not only is Trump held accountable, but these senators, these congressmen, these governors, this has to go down the ladder. And these people
But
have to
will
be
that,
held.
listen, I get your point, but is that a reality or is that a liberal pipe dream?
Yeah,
Will that
no,
actually
I,
happen?
I think this is happening. I can't say for a fact, and I haven't been wrong too many times. I think that this is happening. I think that the Jack Smith guy, I actually think that that's why he hasn't charged Trump yet, because he's going to charge a few other people.
Let me give you this. This came straight out of the comments, obviously aimed right at you by Dale Little or something. He said this has nothing to do with the Confederacy or nothing to do about the Confederacy. You're ignorant. How do you respond to somebody that points out that the Trump administration and all of that? It's nothing to do with the Confederacy.
Same policies. They have the same
Elaborate.
policies.
What do you mean same What do you mean same policies? The Confederacy was
The,
about slavery and shit.
uh, that's pretty much what the Confederacy. I mean, what they're doing right now. They are.
You think Trump is pro-slavery? And April appreciate that heart. Thank you very much. You think Trump is pro-slavery, pro-rolling back civil rights for African Americans and minorities?
Answer. Look at Florida. Florida is ground zero for everything that they're trying to do.
But that's
They're
DeSantis.
not.
That's not
Yeah,
Trump. That's
but
DeSantis. Go ahead.
but because of MAGA, DeSantis is able to do what he's doing. All of those people
Well,
that are supporting,
it's
all of those
crazy I'm
people.
having this
Go ahead.
conversation with you because I try to play devil's advocate. Lisa appreciate the hat and mustache.
I know you
But
do all the time
But
too.
let me tell you the punishment I get for doing that shit. In the comments, Tony Mills, you're too dark to be an Uncle Tom. I take abuse for trying to run this damn show. But go ahead, let me hear you.
And you do, bro. And I be in the comments every time I see that. Every chance that I get, I try to explain to them. No, listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's saying. And
I get
nobody,
my ass whooped on every show.
you trick me sometimes. And I listen to you every day. You trick me sometimes. You're so good at talking to them that you trick me sometimes.
Well, you know something? I like to give the people the right to speak. Doesn't matter what color, what background, what political affiliation you're from. I believe everybody has a right to speak. And unfortunately, a lot of liberals, particularly African Americans, think that I'm on the wrong side of the program just because I let them speak. I'm not for censorship. That's really all it amounts to.
Handsome, I'm gonna answer that guy's question, and I'm gonna jump down because I know you got more people that want to come in here.
Fair enough. Go.
MAGA is is the Confederacy because, for one, they use the same tactics. They're talking about separating. Not only that, January the 6th, you saw those people take the American flag off of the Capitol and replace it with the Trump flag.
Wow.
These are the same people that grandfather is. Where do you see MAGA at mostly? Not saying that you only see it in the South, but these southern states are the ones that took hold to what Donald Trump was saying and what
I gotta
Donald
disagree
Trump is
with that.
doing.
I gotta strongly disagree with that. Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, those are
Now,
strong MAGA affiliates. And that's up there near Canada. There's a lot of very northern MAGA supporters. So,
now, 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 Hansel, I'm gonna say this. Every place that you just named is also very white.
shit, what place in America is not very white?
It,
I
it,
mean, that's
all,
America. That's
all the
60% of the country.
No, they're 60% of the land. You feel what
Okay,
I'm saying? They're
I'm feeling.
60% of the land. So
Okay.
when I tell you that they know what's going on, and I say let them do what they're gonna do, because this time I think we have enough people in place, and we've been through this before, that we're not gonna let the Confederacy compromise with us this time.
I would hope not. I would hope not. Anthony, got to move it on. It's always a good talk, man.
Have a good one.
You too. All right, look in the comments. Yep, Trump divided America, says Candy. Well, some would argue that he divided the Republican Party. I had a strong MAGA supporter on a few callers back, and even she admitted, while being strongly in the Trump camp, wanting Trump to be the next president, she admitted that DeSantis would be better at unifying her own party. So, yeah, I don't think that, just giving you my humble opinion, I don't believe Trump's goal was ever unity to begin with. He was running an America First agenda, trying to direct the country in the way he believed it should be on the world stage economically and so forth. Nothing about his agenda was unity based. Either you get on the Trump train or you get ran over by it. That's not very unifying. But a lot of folks like the way he ran the country. So it is what it is. Looking in the comments, Montana is not very white. What's up there then? And your name is Montana Mama, so I can't say shit to somebody with a name like that. But what is in Montana then if it's not very white? I don't know. Are they holding rap concerts up there? I haven't heard nothing about 50 Cent touring Billings. Let me know what I'm missing. Amen, Anthony. Yeah, absolutely not. I'm from Pennsylvania and we're run by Dems, but we are a Republican state, says Mama Lynch. Yeah. Scrolling in the comments real quick is you guys I always appreciate the participation in the comments. This should be rolling. I do try to pay attention to you folks, even though I am engaged with guests. But nevertheless, when I see interesting comments, I do try to respond in them. But there's a lot of you folks in here. I appreciate that. Tap the screen. Make 65,000 likes happen. The program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. I had more with Trump. Everything was cheaper, says Ron7M1. Well, the salaries were cheaper too, but I get your point in regards to the economy. Moving on. We'll make it happen with CEO of Common Sense, chairman of the board for Common Sense. Let's see what's going on. All right. Looking in the comments here, why that TikTok does it. Biden has destroyed our 401k. Ouch. Trump flag flies alongside with Confederate flag. That is true. Why is that? If folks want to suggest that the MAGA movement, Trump supporters have nothing to do with the Confederacy, it is very common to see folks who wave the Confederate flag flying the Trump flag. Confederate flag, it is almost never a Democrat. Somebody explain that. I think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear it from you. I don't get what's going on with my last guest, but as a result, we'll keep it moving. We'll go to Mickey Merck. Good afternoon, Mickey, if it lets me go. Something's happening with TikTok, so big boy, He was handed the keys to the Obama Ferrari. I don't get that. Do we have a guest on? I can't see something's going on here. Okay, Biden put a kick me sign on the back of our country. Scorpio, do you really see the Russians as kicking America under the Biden administration? Who do we have here? Because the box is all screwed up now. Can you hear me?
I don't know what's going on.
What are you seeing on your screen? Because I'm not seeing you on mine.
I didn't even request to get in. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. I'll keep it moving in. I don't know why is it doing that? Because it showed you there. All right, let's try it again. We'll go with second chance. Apologize is happening right now, but TikTok is doing something with folks I'm trying to bring in the box. Second chance. Good afternoon.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I like the name. I've asked for a few of those in my life. Tomorrow, you think this country is going to behave with Trump asking for protests?
I don't think it's going to behave. But I don't think it has nothing to do with. I don't think it has nothing to do with just Trump either, asking for the protest.
What do you think it has something to do with?
A little while back, you had a guest that tried to say one person was running everything. I don't believe that. Everybody says that you're either Republican or you're Democrat. If you're Republican, you have to have all these beliefs, and this is the only beliefs you can have. You can't cross the line and have. I can't be a Republican and be pro-choice. I have to be pro-life, is what everybody tries to say. All right, if I'm that, then I have to be a Democrat. But if I believe in the Second Amendment, you can't be a Democrat, you're a Republican. Like the labels that we have that we give everybody is messed up.
But why do you suggest that tomorrow
that's
we're
what I was
not
about
going
to
to
get
behave?
to. And the party, the ones that's been up there forever, the ones that's in Congress, there's some of them that's been there so long that when everybody was like, well, why don't these Republicans do anything? Why are they turning their heads on it? Because they're paid for and bought. Just like the Democratic side, there's times when y'all look at y'all Democrat people and like, why ain't y'all doing anything? Why are y'all turning your head? Like, we got evidence right here that this person's doing stuff. Why ain't y'all doing anything? Because they're paid for and bought.
Okay.
The majority in the middle is paid for and bought.
Corrupt. I get that politicians are corrupt, but why are they not going to behave tomorrow? They've been corrupt for decades. What's making tomorrow
special?
The
same way with the six. That's the same way with the six when all that happened. Everybody tries to say that the Republicans went out there and they would try to overthrow the government. They try to take it back and give it to Trump. If the Republicans were the ones out there doing that, and we're the ones that own majority of the guns in the United States and believe in having guns to defend the country and everything, why was there not everybody carrying guns to overthrow the government that wasn't ready for us to be there?
How do you know they weren't carrying guns?
Because nobody was really shot, except for the people that was going in, the one woman.
They were winning. They didn't have a reason to shoot anybody. The Capitol Police were running. They were beating their ass. They didn't have a reason to shoot anybody. They were winning.
There would have been a lot more. If they were trying to overthrow, it was all. I believe that was all staged. And tomorrow they're going to do the same thing. There's going to be staged events that happen, so they can use it to go after whatever they want next on the list.
Okay, so you believe that folks will Go ahead.
Yeah, there's going to be folks that misbehave to one way or the other, either to force the party to go one way, to force the agenda to go one way or the other, and that way they can use it to keep all of us regular people that are struggling divided and against each other, so they can keep the power that they need.
So if you believe that they turn January 6th into a setup, if you believe tomorrow that they're going to, for the most part, create a whole nother setup and do something similar, knowing this yourself as a regular citizen, you'd have to assume Trump would know this as well. So I'm asking you this question. Do you think calling for a protest tomorrow, knowing what you know, is irresponsible for the president to do that?
Oh, yeah. He does a lot of irresponsible stuff as president. Every president has done different stuff that's irresponsible. Like the last guy that you had, he tried to say that we look at January 6th and everybody's like, oh, it was this massive thing that was so horrible. But then he's like, the year before that, the summer of love. You mean the summer where businesses were getting burnt down, looted, riots was going on? That city of
I
love,
don't even know
or
if
the
I
summer
hear
of love?
liberals. I don't even know if I hear liberals referring to the George Floyd protest as a summer of love. That's a bit.
The last
Now,
guy you just had in said that.
Yeah, Trump. Now, Trump referred to January 6th as a love fest. He did do that.
Oh yeah, I've heard him say that.
Yeah,
but the last
do
guy you
you
had
agree?
in just said that the riots and stuff that happened said the summer of love. He called it the summer of love. The last guy you had in.
Now, you do understand, though, there's a huge difference between some dude on TikTok saying this and the president of the United
Oh
States,
yeah,
though, right?
no, I'm just saying that's why I didn't say like the political party. I said the people on the left side try to say that this that happened in the January 6th was so horrible that all this bad, but then they say the summer of love with the protests
Yeah,
and the
I get
cities getting burnt
you.
down.
You're pointing out the hypocrisy. I get it. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this: if you admit that calling for a protest in New York tomorrow is irresponsible from the president to do it, if that protest turns violent, would you hold him accountable for it?
Yes, but with the stage part of it, there's a possibility of it. It's one of those he's setting himself up to look bad in the long run if something does happen either way. If it was something that legitimate happened because of his base, or if it was set up and planned, is either way he's going to look bad if anything goes wrong.
Well, based on what you're saying, you said he does things irresponsible all the time. Now, you pointed out other politicians does it as well, though. But do you think President Trump is the right candidate going forward for this country in 2024?
I believe the way he wanted to put America first, like he wanted us as a people to where, like you were saying with the economy and everything, he wanted us to take our place as the world power that everybody knows we are. Like, I agree with that side. I agree that we do too much for too many other countries that ain't our people, and we don't do enough for our people here at home. Veterans, homeless people, the people that have mental health issues that they talk about that shoot up these schools and stuff, that we're not doing enough for our own people, but we
Yeah,
go
but
and spend trillions of
When
dollars.
Trump was in office, we weren't. I mean, Trump was saying that the liberal cities were shitholes. I mean, we had plenty of homeless under the 4 years of Trump, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we still had homeless under. I mean, we're always going to have people that's homeless, like, because you're going to have
Right.
people that just don't want to live in the regular society that we have. Like, you have people that literally try to help them and they say they don't want it.
Yeah, fair enough. So when you talk about his policies being America first and things like that, some would argue you could get the same policies out of DeSantis. Do you agree?
Yes. If I had a choice, I would love to see DeSantis run and actually take the Republican Party as the nominee for president. If it came down to him,
so if DeSantis, many suggest he will probably enter the race sometime later this summer. If he enters the race, he has your vote over Trump.
Yes, if it came down to him and Trump, it would be because younger. We already see what happens with the old age, with some of the stuff that's happening with Biden, that people can't deny that he's struggling with his age. Trump ain't that far behind Biden, and it won't be long before. Like we've seen our own elders. Once you get to a certain age, there's stuff that you can't do and shouldn't be doing. And running the government at that age, that's one of those like hard pill to swallow. Like it should be younger people coming in, more fresher ideas. And I would say younger, like in their 20s or 30s. But that's Santos. He's in his 40s, going in his 50s. Yeah. Like he's in a good area. We need to see more of that, and we need to see more of that in Congress too. Like we need the biggest thing. We need.
What about Mike Pence? What about Mike Pence? He was with the same administration. Mike Pence for president. What about him?
I wouldn't vote for Mike Pence over Trump.
Wow. What about Nikki Haley? You think she would be a decent president?
Nikki Haley, I don't know too much about her.
Right. Okay. Now, that's a fair point. It's a fair point, but not a fan of Mike Pence over Trump.
No.
What if Trump was not in it? Let's say, for instance, the legitimacy of this legal shit took Trump out of the power or out of the office. Or say, for instance, he just decided not to run and it came down to Pence versus DeSantis. You've seen the policies under the Mike Pence Trump administration. Would the policies of Trump give you more inclination to vote for Pence over DeSantis?
It would be DeSantis.
But you've seen the policies of Trump and you like them, and Pence is part of that administration, but you would still go with DeSantis.
Yeah. Well,
Why
I even said I'd go with DeSantis over Trump.
Yeah, you did say, yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. Wow. All right.
But on top of that, it depends on who's also running on the left side also. Because like I said, I have different choices on both sides. So if a politician on the left side stepped up and they line with my beliefs.
Who have you seen from the left that piques your interest?
Right now?
In history. In the last 20 years.
In history, I voted for Obama his first run.
Okay. All right.
And the second run I didn't vote in that election. I was out of country in Iraq and trying to deal with all that. I just didn't want to deal with it.
All right, fair enough. Okay, all right. There's many folks who are suggesting that DeSantis could upset Trump. I'm not quite there yet, but I appreciate hearing from folks on the right like yourself. Or you said
the other thing that I was going to bring up when you were there was one of the guys you were talking to a while back, because it was like I've been here for like the last 6 or 7 people you had. He made the comment about the main witness against Trump, that you made the comment that he's a known liar, that he lies, and then he goes, but when he's sent before a judge, you have to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Like those words ever stopped anybody from lying? Because if that was the case, anybody that we're going to try, we could just take them in, put your hand on the Bible and swear, and then they would have to tell the truth, and we wouldn't even need to go through the whole.
Yeah, I think that, Michael Cohen is a convicted liar. I definitely think that his testimony will be scrutinized. But it is New York. It's a left-leaning state, and they would give him far more of a listening ear than, say, in Alabama somewhere. But I got to move it on, Second Chance. This is our first time chatting?
All right. No, we've talked once before. It's probably about a month ago.
Okay.
I come in and watch you every now and then when I have time.
It's good shit. Thanks, I appreciate you coming through, man. Absolute. Good talk.
Later.
All right. Fair enough. All right, folks. As always, this is indeed a lunch break live. So like we always do around this time, unfortunately, I do at the end of the live stream. You could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok, and it's always an honor having you here with your boy. Appreciate you getting me up to 60,000 likes. Those should be quite interesting. I'm assuming that the cable news networks will be preempted with nothing but coverage on what's going on. There will be some protesters in New York. I don't care if it's 10 dudes with a MAGA flag. There are going to be some protesters there. Might be peaceful as can be, but it will happen. And of course, we will be here to discuss it. It is your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. As always, have a good one. I'll catch you tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central.